The back and forth over SNAP benefits continues. Governor Moore is taking to national media outlets, vowing to fight the administration's demand for recipient data or lose funding.
Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor joins us live to break down the controversy and the growing questions about Maryland's own oversight of the program. Rebecca.
Mary and Kai, while Governor Wes Moore is doubling down as a defender of SNAP benefits, tonight one taxpayer advocate that I spoke with is arguing that it's Maryland's own mismanagement, not federal politics, that's putting this food assistance funding at risk.
All these Democratic ran cities,
SNAP
man.
benefits intensifying this
Fact,
week.
man.
The Trump administration threatening to cut off funding to states refusing to turn over data, detailing who is receiving what. In response,
I do not understand. And the level of cruelty that we continue to see from the president of the United States is just absolutely staggering.
Governor Wes Moore joining several states suing to block the request. In a statement, Moore calling the ultimatum reckless.
What y'all hiding?
What's cruel and what's reckless is what the state is doing with taxpayer dollars.
Weighing in, taxpayer advocate David Williams arguing the governor's stance ignores a bigger
all
issue,
these Democratic
Maryland's
ran
own
cities,
handling of the billion-dollar program.
The federal government should absolutely be asking for this information because, first of all, it's a lot of money. And secondly, this is the fault of the state.
The USDA saying the data is needed to weed out ongoing waste and spot fraud.
That's right.
Come 2027, new financial penalties will also be put in place for states with high payment error rates, meaning cases where SNAP benefits were over or underpaid due to administrative mistakes. Given Maryland's 14% error rate, one of the highest in the country, the state stands to lose $240 million in federal funding.
And they know that they have to fix this problem. And if the federal government can help, they should welcome that help with open arms.
Instead, Moore's office doubling down, citing privacy concerns. Meanwhile, federal officials claiming, based on limited records received from mostly red states, they've already found 186,000 deceased individuals on food stamps and roughly 500,000 receiving their benefits more than once.
This should be a wake-up call for Governor Moore and the state because hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars are on the hook. And Governor Moore is not in a position to be spending more taxpayer dollars on anything.
For now, a federal judge has barred the Trump administration from suspending SNAP benefits from any of those states, refusing to hand over that data as that legal challenge continues to play out in court. Reporting live in Baltimore City, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Into an ongoing battle over SNAP benefits. The Trump administration says it plans to withhold funding from Democrat-led states refusing to provide enrollment information.
The department says it's trying to eliminate fraud and abuse. Meantime, several states, including Maryland, are suing to block that request.
The move means the state's SNAP costs could rise even higher due to payment errors. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor digging into that part of the story. She joins us live with the latest. Rebecca.
Yeah, Mary, that's right. The state's own mistakes could potentially cost taxpayers here in Maryland hundreds of millions of dollars as the federal government looks to crack down on misspending. Tonight, yet another challenge surrounding food stamp funding. The Trump administration putting states on notice, correct costly mistakes, or pay the price.
It's about time that some sort of accountability is put on the food stamp program because this is a program that is abused by a lot of people at the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars.
By 2027, the federal government set to implement a new penalty on states with high, quote, payment error rates, meaning cases where SNAP benefits were over or underpaid due to administrative errors, not fraud. And Maryland, near the top of the national error list, stands to lose big.
This is going to be a problem for Maryland financially, but it's a problem of their own doing.
Historically, the federal government has footed the bill for all SNAP benefits. But under these new stipulations, any state with an error rate above 6% will have to pick up a portion of the tab. With a nearly 14% error rate, Maryland taxpayers would be on the hook for 15% of the $1.6 billion on state SNAP cards. That's an extra $240 million in state spending.
There is a solution in all of this, and the solution is to be better with taxpayer money.
And taxpayer advocate David Williams argues it's an issue that goes far beyond SNAP.
It is not surprising when you see, especially the Moore administration, that has really ignored wasteful spending, abuse of taxpayer dollars, to see this high error rate. And now's the time to change it.
Especially at a time Maryland is already struggling to balance its budget. Families who depend on these benefits now left in limbo, while taxpayers brace for a bigger bill. Now, the Department of Human Services says that it is currently working to drive down that error rate through more staff, better training, and newer technology. But critics argue that these fixes should have come long before the threat of financial consequences. Reporting live.
A new threat from the Trump administration. This after the Secretary of Agriculture said 21 states, all run by Democrats, have refused to comply with an order to share data on SNAP recipients. And federal dollars to the program could be halted in a matter of days. National correspondent Christine Frizzell brings us the details from Washington.
According to the Department of Agriculture, waste, fraud, and abuse of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program has been widespread and rampant.
When we found 186,000 dead people's Social Security numbers being used, 500,000 people receiving benefits more than twice. We had a couple of people receiving benefits in 6 states.
SNAP, often referred to as food stamps, is meant to help those who need assistance putting food on the table. 42 million Americans currently rely on the program. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins announcing federal funding will be cut next week to 21 Democratic-led states which have not complied with a request for data on SNAP recipients to be turned over to her agency. New York Governor Kathy Hochul responding, why is the Trump administration hell-bent on seeing people go hungry, as other Democrats have for months slammed the cuts already in place?
We're going backwards on hunger. We are going to have more families struggling to keep food in the fridge, more hungry kids, more red tape for working parents who are just trying to cook a healthy meal for their kids.
But the USDA is calling for major reforms, including requiring participants to reapply and highlighting states like Minnesota, which was recently found to not be using a state law to pause payments to those suspected of fraud. And Maryland already has to spend $240 million more in state funds in 2027 due to its high overpayment and underpayment error rate, a penalty included in President Trump's Big Beautiful Bill. Under President Biden, the program saw its largest permanent increase, with some changes slammed by Republicans.
We saw $524 million of SNAP benefits being used at fast food restaurants in only 9 states. And guess what, Stuart? Those 9 states are blue states. Yeah. That's a lot of money on nuggets and fries.
More than a dozen states have sued the Trump administration, arguing the data request is illegal, and actually the White House attempting to access information on undocumented immigrants. Secretary Rollins says the federal money will start being withheld next week. I'm Christine.